Hey, what's good? Hi, I'm Joseph McClendon III, and if I know you, hello again. And if I don't, I'll tell you a little bit more about myself here in a moment. But for now, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to share with you some things that I think you're going to find, actually, I know you're going to find unbelievably valuable in terms of helping you go further, faster in your life, whatever it is that you do, or whatever it is that you want to do, whether it's in your business or making money or being healthier, having a better body or relationships or whatever it is that you want to do. And I know that might sound broad and bold, but I think as you watch and listen on, you're going to find that it's absolutely true. And so the purpose of this particular video is just kind of introduce myself to you and share with you a little bit about my backstory and again, kind of what qualifies me to be hollering at you this way. And but the purpose of everything that I do with you, and probably even including this one, is to give you some, not just some knowledge and tell you some stories and tell you some facts and report on things and research and things like that, but really to give you some tools and some strategies and some processes to help you make the necessary changes that you know you want to make and that we all want to make to have more in our lives, because that's what we want, is we all want more. And so again, and I'm going to share with you about myself on this video, kind of my backstory and again, what qualifies me to be talking to you this way. And the reason I do that, and it's important that you know this, and that is because it's something that I call don't teach theory. I won't teach theory. And what that means is that if you're going to learn something from, if you're going to get a mentor or a teacher or hear something or learn something that's going to help you grow, learn it from somebody that's been there, done that. Somebody that is a mentor and not just a coach. And what I mean by that is a coach is somebody that has, a level of expertise, and they can motivate you and they can get you excited and they can help you feel good and empower you and all of those things. But coaches aren't always better at the thing that they're coaching somebody to do. An all-star basketball player, a major league football player, basketball or baseball player, whatever. Their coaches are not better players than they are usually, but they are valuable. But a mentor, on the other hand, is somebody that is not only has the same skills that a coach does, but also they've also been there, done that, and they're often better at the thing that they're mentoring somebody to do. And I might not know you personally yet, and so I know that you can teach me something, and my expertise is human beings. And what I'm going to share with you about myself, I hope it doesn't sound arrogant or boastful, and as a matter of fact, I wanted to hit you and let you know that, like I said, the reason I'm sharing this with you is because I want you to know that I'm a mentor in this way. My background is psychology. By profession, I'm a neuropsychologist. I have a formal education in neuropsychology. I taught at the University of Southern California for several years, 7 years, and I have several certifications in the neurosciences. I help people get over fears and phobias and emotional challenges that hinder their lives. I had a practice in Los Angeles for many, many years. Then I saw hundreds and hundreds of clients and patients and help them go faster. But I'm a neuropsychologist, and what that means is that the short story or the short explanation of it is that I go right to the nervous system, right to what makes us tick, and get a quick result and get lasting results. And so that's all great for that, and I love doing that, and I still love doing that. However, as you'll find out here in just a moment, my outcome was always to impact many, many more people. And so that's my profession. But by trade, by trade, I'm what's known as an ultimate performance specialist, and kind of a high-end life coach, if you will. I've had the privilege of working with Academy Award-winning movie stars and Grammy-winning musicians and major sports figures and politicians and even some royalty. And again, I share all that with you not to brag or to boast, but to, again, let you know that I don't teach theory. So as I said before, you want to learn from somebody that's been there, done that. And so not only that I've done these things for other people, but I do this for myself as well. In other words, my own successes in my own life have come from the exact same things that I'm going to teach you as we're going forward. I'm going to share with you going forward. And the other thing that I wanted to mention is that I've had some amazing, and still do, amazing mentors and teachers and coaches and people that have given a piece of their heart and a piece of their life to help me, and I'm paying it forward. And so, from a financial side, I've been an investor in real estate and still am, and I've had the privilege of working with over 5 million people live from on stage, and millions of people around the world in doing that. So all that's kind of where I am and who I am right now, me. But I want to share with you, kind of why and how I came to this place, kind of my backstory, if you will, because I wasn't always like this. As a matter of fact, there was a time in my life when I was homeless. And again, I'm sharing with you these things not to brag or to boast or to say that I'm some shining example of the way that things should be. But I do use myself as an example of what is possible because of where I've come from, if you will. And like I said, I was homeless. And the reason I was homeless was not because I had a bad childhood or some misfortune in my childhood or anything like that. I became homeless because when I was 17 and a half years old, 3 grown men tried to take my life because of the color of my skin. And it was a place called in Bakersfield called Oildale, California, Bakersfield. And it wasn't so much what they did to me in terms of the beating and all of those things. It's what happened afterwards. It's what they said to me and then what happened afterwards that completely destroyed my confidence and completely destroyed my self-esteem, took away my drive, and again, I wound up living in a cardboard box behind an old drive-in theater in Lancaster, California. And those things, when something like that happens, it, let's just say emotionally scars you. And at 17 years old, you're just a kid and you don't really, you don't know how to put those things together. And so that was really kind of the bottom of my life. I was suicidal. I was in the worst health that I ever was. As a matter of fact, I was at a point in my life that I didn't, not just suicidal, I didn't want to live any further. And I couldn't see any reason to live any further. And what happened was, fortunately for me, a kind human being, somebody that I didn't know, came into my life and came into my life in a very strange way. I actually had an accident. I had a motorcycle accident. And the next day, I was trying to get the motorcycle fixed. And this person, and again, I didn't have any money. I asked him if he would fix my motorcycle. I said I would sweep your floors. It was a welding shop. I'd sweep your floors. I'd do some work for you. And he said, well, what I'm going to charge you is you're going to read this book. And he gave me a book, and I thought, well, that was odd. And he said, you're going to read this book today before I even start on your motorcycle. And I looked at the book, and I opened the book up, and I looked at it. The book was old. It was tattered and everything, and it didn't have a cover on it. But you know how in a book, the title of the book is always at the top of every other page in the book? Well, the book was called Think and Grow Rich. That's right, by Napoleon Hill. And I didn't know it at the time. And I looked at it and I thought, well, rich, there's no way I'm ever going to be rich. Look at me now. And I didn't understand the meaning of rich. And like I said before, my definition of wealthy means to be healthy, happy, and financially abundant. And I just thought rich meant money. And so I looked at it, and because of where I was in my life, I didn't think it was possible. And I started to read the book. And by the way, if you haven't read the book, I would suggest you do. That would be one of the first things that I would encourage you to do. The book was written by a gentleman named Napoleon Hill, and it was written in 1937. That's right, 1937. But when you read the book, you're going to swear that the book is up to date. And it was brilliant. And it was written by Napoleon Hill, but Napoleon Hill was employed by or commissioned by a guy named Andrew Carnegie back in the 30s, who at the time was one of the richest and wealthiest men in all of the United States. And what he tasked Napoleon Hill to do was to interview all of the top wealthiest and richest and happiest people in the United States, all the ones that he could find. And that's what the book is about. And he said, I want you to find out what they have in common. And that's what's in the book. And I'm not going to give it away. I'm not going to share with you, all the things that are in there, but I will tell you this, that as I said before, when you want to do something, You find somebody that's been there, done that. And that's what he did, was find all these people. And he found out the few distinctions that these people had in common. Of course, this was back in 1938 or 1937. And so anyway, I got the book and I started to become fascinated by it. And I read the book. And I read the book in one day. And I got to be honest with you, I never read any books in one day in my entire life. Wasn't that big a book, but I was absolutely fascinated. And I know a lot of people, and maybe you have as well, read the book. And I know a lot of people who say, yeah, I read the book and it was a great book and everything. But I always ask this question: did you do what the book said? And did you continue to do what the book said? And see, most people, they'll read the book and it's got some great exercises in it, and they'll go say, that sounds great, and I'm going to do it later, and they procrastinate. But I was desperate, and I didn't know what else to do. So I not only read the book, but he allowed me to take it home with me, home to my cardboard box. And I did what the book said, as much of it as I could, every day. And in a very short amount of time, I had a place to live, I had a job, I had a girlfriend, I had, lots of stuff in a very, very short amount of time. And I realized that one of the first things that the book taught me was how to think differently. Think and grow rich, how to think differently about myself, about other people, and about the world around me. And in that process, things started to change around me as well. And I was obviously super grateful. That's the way I was raised, was to give back and to be grateful for the gifts that are given you. And so I went back to the gentleman that gave me the book, and I said, listen, you've changed my life, and I want to thank you. And I got my own copy of the book now. I want to give you this back, and I also want to ask you, what can I do for you? And he goes, what do you mean? And I go, what can I do to repay you? What can I do to repay you for your kindness and for introducing me to this and for changing my life? And he thought for a second, and then he looked me in the eyes. I'll never forget the look, and I'll never forget what he said. He said, Joseph, how you repay me is you do the same that I've done for you, in whatever way that you can, for as many people as you possibly can, for the rest of your life. Now, I was just a kid back then, and I didn't really know what that meant, but I was raised that, when you make a promise to somebody and you commit to something, you do it. And so I said, okay, I'll do that. And so that's why I'm here with you right now. And that's why I continue to get to do what I do. And as I said before, I've had the privilege of working with scholars. Some of my mentors and some of my business partners are people like Tony Robbins and Les Brown, and the list goes on and on. And I've had the privilege of speaking and talking and teaching, around the world for the past 3 decades. And all of that to say that what I share with you, these things that I share with you, are not just from that book, because that book is what set me on my path, if you will, to learn more. And don't let anybody fool you. Anybody that is in the field of psychology, and I jokingly say this, anybody that's in the field of psychology, they do it because they know that they have some healing of their own and some fixing of their own and some changing of their own to do. And quite honestly, I learned that early on. When I started to study psychology and how the mind works and how that works with the rest of the world, and what makes people do what they do and all those things, I started to realize I had my own, let's just say, shortcomings, behaviors, emotions, and feelings. And as I said before, when those guys attacked me, the things that they said to me were like, in my mind constantly, and I had to learn how to get rid of those. And so from there, I started to do different things. Now, obviously, I was pretty young at that age, at that time, and was going to school, and I was working as a dental technician, putting myself through college. And I was working really hard, and I also was a musician at the time, and that's what I wanted to do, was I wanted to play music. And so I realized that in order to play music, because I was living in Lancaster, which was about 100 miles outside of Los Angeles at the time, Hollywood was the big place, was the place to go to if you wanted to get a recording contract, and that's what I wanted to do. And so I looked into real estate. I watched an infomercial one night on television, and there was a guy, and ironically, my dear friend Chris Crone is friends with this gentleman to this day, and this was 30 years ago when I first saw this. But there was a guy named Robert Allen. And Robert Allen was one of the first people that was teaching people how to flip houses or to buy income real estate, single family homes and things like that. And I went to his seminar. And I remember saving up, enough money to go to the seminar. I think it was like $300 or $400 back then. And I went there. And I remember being in this seminar, and Robert Allen, he taught us for, I think it was like 2 or 3 days, some amazing ways. And the name of the seminar was called Nothing Down, How to Buy Houses for Nothing Down. I remember one of the things he said was, listen, it doesn't mean that you don't give the seller money. It's just not going to be your money. And it was a unique concept. But I'll tell you what, here was the difference. And this is what I want you to get maybe from this conversation here as well. It's not what you know. It's what you do with what you know that makes the biggest difference. And in going forward in any other videos that I have the privilege of speaking to you, on specific topics and subjects, if you will, it's going to be to share with you what to do, process what you do to get yourself to do what needs to be done. And so I remember at the end of the seminar, Robert said, listen, I've just taught you 50 ways to buy houses for no money down. And his outcome was, he said, listen, I'm going to show you how to buy 2 houses a year for the next 10 years. And if you do that, at the end of 10 years, you'll have on it, because you'll buy some and you'll sell some. At the end of that 10 years, you'll have at least 10 houses, and each of those houses will bring you like $1,000 a month, and that's $10,000 a month, which at the time, and still is, was a great income. And that'll be what he called residual income. And but I wanted to be a musician. I wanted to get a recording contract now. And so I approached him, and I said, Mr. Allen, I said, your program calls for 2 houses a year for 10 years. What if I did 10 houses a year for 2 years? I'm sorry, his program was 2 houses a year for 10 years. I said, what if I do 10 houses a year for 2 years? And he laughed. He actually laughed out loud, and he actually said it to the audience. When I asked the question, he goes, "That's what I did." And he said, "Of course you can do it. You can change those numbers." Now, this is what I want you to know. And it's what you're going to learn from me going forward, is that I had a different psychology, not just mindset. You'll learn the difference in that here in just a moment. I had a different psychology than most everybody in the room. And as it turned out, pretty much everybody in the room. And so my psychology was what I had learned about myself and learned about the world and what I'd learned from Think and Grow Rich and going to school and everything. And I went back, and very long story short, in less than a year and a half's time, I purchased 26 houses, and I still benefit from those houses to this day. But here's the interesting thing. There were maybe 300 or 400 people in that class, but I was the only one that went on to become financially, let's just say, abundant, if you will, in that whole classroom. And it wasn't because I'm so smart, and it wasn't because I'm so cute. It wasn't because I'm funny or any of that stuff. It was because of the different psychology that I had. And what I learned is to apply that to everything. Not some of the things, not most of the things, but everything that I do. And so, another real long story short, from that, I continued my education, but I was able to quit my job. I got a recording contract in 1990, as a matter of fact. And then from there, things went on. I made some records and did some things. And as I went on from there, the next thing I wanted to do was always in my heart, I always wanted to give back and make a difference and make good on my promise that I made to the gentleman that gave me the book. And so I thought to myself, well, I want to impact more people. And so I, through a process and everything, I met a great man. Matter of fact, he's my business partner and has been for some time now, Tony Robbins. And he and I wrote a book together. That was my first book that I wrote, and the book became a New York Times bestseller. And again, I'm telling you all of this for a reason, because I want you to get the thread that goes through, because you have the same thread. That became a New York Times bestseller. And then from there, I wanted to make some more money, if you will. So I did a network marketing company. The name of the company is irrelevant because the process was still the same. And I did network marketing for a while, and I became one of the top producers in that company. Rose to their highest level in less than 2 years. Less than 2 years. Usually that's a trek for them. It was a 10-year trek. And then also, I also, as I said before, I wanted to be a speaker, a presenter, and to this date, now it's more than this because now we do much more online and television and things like that. I've had the privilege of speaking and being in front of over 5 million people, and the list is growing. The reason I share all that stuff with you, whether it was real estate, whether it was music, whether it was being an author, whether it was network marketing or any other kind of business and speaking on all those things, I'm always in the upper 3 to 5% of all of the people and matter of fact, in this industry that I'm in right now, the personal development industry, I've been at the upper 2 to 3% for the past almost 3 decades. And again, I say that not to brag or to boast, but there's a reason why. And those are the reasons that I'm going to tell you. And it all starts with your psychology. It all starts with how you think about yourself, how you think about other people, and how you think about the world around you. And so again, the purpose of this particular video is to share with you just, kind of a little bit more about myself and again, what qualifies me to be here with you now. But what I want you to understand is this, is that all of us have, it wasn't anything that I got special, that I had special. It was some things that I learned, and I want to pass that on to you as well. And so I want to start you off now, if you will. And I didn't say this at the very beginning, but whenever I get the chance to talk to you or I get the opportunity to share with you some things, please take notes. Take notes, and schedule some things and use what I share with you, because if you use it, you just get the results. And so from there, the first thing I want to teach you is something, and I'll get more and more detailed about this on another video, but on this one, and this is the change that happened in me, and that is this, that it's something that I now call human physics. And here's what I mean by human physics. Physics, the simple answer, because when you ask people, well, what is physics? Well, our brain goes, well, I don't know, I didn't pay attention to or whatever. But I want you to understand this, because I like simplicity. Physics is basically the cause and effect, and don't worry, I'll break this down here in a moment, the cause and effect relationship from movement. What does that mean? Einstein said it, for every action, there's an equal or greater reaction. What does that mean? When something happens, when you pull the string on this end, it's going to move on that end. When the wind blows, the sail is going to go up or the flag is going to wave. There's movement going on, and there's movement in the world constantly all the time. You say, well, Joseph, a rock doesn't move. Yes, it does. We're spinning on this globe. It's moving constantly. I don't know, 1,000 miles an hour, whatever. The earth is constantly spinning like that, and we're hurtling through space. Everything is moving, and that rock is eroding, and everything is moving, whether it's slow or whether it's fast. And so are we. And as human beings, there's a specific and particular movement that we all do, and from that movement, the effect of that movement is universal across the line. And when I got this, and when you get this, you're going to realize that, well, wait a minute, whatever I learn, whatever I do, if I just apply this one thing that I'm going to teach you here, and it is the one thing that I learned. I didn't learn it like this, but I learned from Think and Grow Rich back in those days, and this is it. Human physics is this. Whatever human beings do, whatever we do, whatever movement that we make, the more we do it, the better at it we're going to get. Let me repeat myself. Whatever we do, whatever movement that we make, and by the way, that movement can be thinking certain things. That movement can be moving our bodies. That movement can be getting up and doing something, making a phone call, whatever it is. We're going to get better at it. We know that as practice. I work with a lot of very, very successful and famous athletes, and they know it. They know it just, instinctively, because that's what they've been doing their whole lives. Practice. Musicians, practice. What is it? Practice doesn't make perfect. It makes you better. You get better and better at that thing. And if that's the case, which it is, then it comes down to this very simple thing. If I can teach you to do something, to think differently, if I can teach you to do something to move differently, if I can teach you to do something to feel differently, then guess what? You'll get better and better at it. But I want to warn you, and that is this, and that it's the same for negative stuff as well. The reason why you have bad habits, the reason why people are overweight and addicted to drugs and alcohol and all of the bad things is because they've done it more than others. And it's assisted Sometimes by our physical body. When we smoke a cigarette or we have alcohol or something like that, something happens. There's a chemical release inside our body that causes us to be addicted to that and to do it more. Well, guess what? There's ways of speeding up the positive process as well. In other words, if you got a bad habit and you've had it for your whole life, it doesn't mean it's going to take you that amount of time to get rid of it. And as a matter of fact, that is something that I call neuroencoding. Neuroencoding is the let's just say the process of programming yourself to automatically default to your best behavior. And I get excited about this, as you can probably tell. I got so much that I want to share with you, and I get to teach you about this stuff. But as you learn it, I want you to get it that, listen, it's not about what you know. Listen, people that are overweight know how to lose weight. They do. I always jokingly say that it's not that hard. It's simple. I should say it's simple. I didn't say it was necessarily easy. It's easier than we've been led to believe, but it's simple. Quit putting so much food in this hole and move your body and you'll lose weight. We all know that, but we don't always do what we know. And we don't always do what we know because of the way that we feel about ourselves, other people, and the world around us. All the way back to Think and Grow Rich, that's what I learned. And that's what I get to teach you as well. And so the first thing that I want you to do is this. Again, as you take notes, you write this down. All I want you to do is to make a list, if you will, of all of your great habits and then all of the habits that you want to change. Notice I didn't say all of your bad habits. All of the habits that you want to change. And there's a philosophy, there's a reason behind this. I want to keep this video short, but I also want to make sure that you understand that the upcoming videos and the things that we're going to go deep. We're going to find out some things. I'm going to answer some questions and things like that so that you have the opportunity to not only make the decision for yourself, but something that you can do. So that's all I want you to do, is to make a list of your good qualities, meaning your good habits and things that are moving you forward and helping you go further, faster at this stage. And then make a list of the things that you would want to change. And there's a reason why we're doing this. And by the way, this is just something that I've elevated from all of the things that I've learned through my life with my mentors, because I'm a doer, if you will, and that's what's going to make a difference. And that is, remember this saying, as you write, you invite. I want you to get a journal or something that you can write these things down. And the reason why you're going to do this exercise is because whatever you think, whenever you're thinking something, you're literally making what we call new neuro associations. Your brain is actually growing. The searching process is the growing process of your brain. So as you start to look for these things, you're going to go, oh, okay, well, this is something that I want to make a difference in, and I got it down on paper. And then we know what to target. We know what to do. And then we know what to enhance on this side. And that's the whole thing, is to make better the things that you want and are already doing, and to mitigate the things that are not serving you. And that's the whole process. And so I know, again, this particular video was all about me, but I wanted you to kind of understand that, again, I don't teach theory, and I don't know you personally. I may not be better at the thing that you're doing. That's not the point. My expertise is human beings, how we think, how we move, what makes us do what we do. And so I'm here to serve you, and I look forward to serving you. So a couple things, and that is number one, that I have a gift for you, and that is this. If you click on the link below or somewhere on this page here, I want to give you a book that I wrote, and the book is called Dare to Be Magnificent, and it's 5 principles in there. That these are the 5 principles that I learned a long time ago, that as you do them, will help you grow as a person, help you go further, faster in your life. Because now's your time. My guess is if you're still listening to me right now, this touches a part of you. This means something to you, and you go, yes, this is something that I want to do. So click on the link. It's absolutely free, no strings attached. Get the book, and some of the things that you're going to learn in there, we're going to go over as we go on it as well. Also, subscribe and hit the bell so you get notified as it comes through. So I want to thank you, and I appreciate your time and your energy and your patience and your trust. And remember this, that life is exactly what you dare to make it, and fortune favors the bold. And so the trick to life is to always boldly step up and dare to make your life magnificent. I look forward to serving you, and I'll see you at the top.